The Peterborough Chamber of Commerce proudly presents the 2021 Power Hour, a series of interviews with our elected officials, proudly sponsored by Cogeco and your TV.
Hi, Stu Harrison, and welcome to the Think Tank. It's a pleasure today to welcome the County Warden, J. Murray Jones, to the Think Tank. Welcome, Jay.
Well, thank you very much, Stu. Good to be with you.
Great to see you. I'm looking forward to this year's Power Hour when we get the four of you together to talk about issues. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today, is just kind of running through some of the things that are more county related. But obviously the pandemic is the place to start because it has occupied all of us for the last year, pretty much a year now ago today as we're recording this. So give us a little bit of a perspective, from your point of view of what we've all been through over the last year.
Well, I think I guess it's pretty similar to what everyone else has been through. It sure was a shock, I think, to everyone. Now, our staff at the county, of course, are working from home, and they have been for as much as they can. But, as much as it's been an inconvenience for everyone, and it has, there's no getting around that, I think it's also had some good aspects of it as well. I think people have gotten to know each other. I'm talking about county and the local, etc. People have gotten to know each other a little bit better. They've communicated perhaps more than they normally would have. Meetings have been on YouTube, where we used to, I know at our township or at the county, where we might get 2 or 3 people at a meeting. Now we have 70 people at a meeting or 200 at a meeting. So those kinds of things have, I think, helped communication. And, everyone's working hard. Because you're working from home does not mean you're not working.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of that will not change, and that's all for the better, right? The improved communication, the improved access, that sort of thing has all been good. Talk a little bit about the relationship with public health. I mean, they've certainly shone in the last year. Hey, I think we've all learned some lessons there, and standing behind public health and sort of learning to appreciate the role that they've played in the work that their staff has done over the last year. Been amazing.
I think before this happened, I can just speak for myself. I guess we knew public health was there, and we respected Dr. Salvatore, what she was doing, but nobody really had a really heavy-duty look at the responsibilities they have. And I've told her this more than once, unbelievable how she's handled this whole situation. She has taken the bull by the horns, and she has shown leadership like I've rarely seen in this area. And she needs all the pats on the back she can get. I mean, it's so easy to reach out and point fingers at people or deny that this pandemic is real. I mean, it's time that everyone became part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Yeah.
Don't keep pointing. What would you do if you were in charge of trying to lead this? Nobody knows. Nobody's been through this. So to Dr. Salvatore, a pat in the back. She's really been great, and we've learned a lot from her.
I think we could say that, from the Prime Minister on down, and you and I have been on so many meetings in the last year where we were literally trying to figure it out. Like the people coming into this area to their cottages. Remember a year ago when we were all so worried about the spread of the virus, and how do you set up a border crossing at Dummer Township? We didn't know. We were trying to figure it out, right? So
believe me, I was getting threatening phone calls, so many that I had to kind of take away my home phone number, all because during the peak of this, we were asking people from Toronto, the GTA, who had cottages up here, please just, we're all in this together, but we have to stay apart right now. So, if possible, just everyone stay home. And well, my goodness, the world ended.
Yeah.
I had calls from some very prominent, well-to-do people who were ready to kill me because I had the nerve to say you weren't welcome at your cottage. Well, nobody
Right.
was saying that.
Yeah.
We were saying, let's keep the virus away from everybody.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, we've all learned lessons. I mean, we've even swung the pendulum now, as a Chamber of Commerce to talking about giving more responsibility for business. As long as they're following, again, public health rules and regulations and protocols, then everything is relatively safe. We're not saying never, never again a lockdown. At some point, that's got to be a tool in the toolbox. But at the same time, there's got to be a balance there. If people can operate safely, then they should be allowed to do so. So it's been a tough go trying to figure out exactly the right things to do, the right things to even say sometimes, right?
yeah, well, exactly. And I refer to that statement again. Let's be part of the solution, not part of the problem. If we do
Right.
what we're told to do and take the appropriate safety precautions, we're good to go. But
Yep.
it's those who choose not to do that that holds us all back.
Well, and speaking of referring to statements, you are locally famous for your "we're all in this together" statement. Well,
Yes, I wish I could have had the copyright on that.
Copyright. What were you thinking? How did you know?
You used to take great delight in the pens that I had made up that said,
We're all in this together.
together. And that was long before all this.
You were a trailblazer. There's no doubt about that.
Exactly.
So now, as much as we're not exactly out of it, we're all getting lined up to get our vaccine, and it's time to start talking seriously about recovery. I think that there's a lot that needs to be done. There's a lot of things that we need to get right. I mean, right now we're in the middle of, submissions for both federal and provincial budgets. You guys are having budget discussions right now. So all levels of government, I think, are looking at this to say, okay, what can we do to help smooth the path to recovery? So where are you at on that as far as, some of your thoughts might be?
Well, I guess from a budget standpoint, from the county's perspective, we did take a very responsible approach this year. And in fact, our main budget was down. It wasn't up. Every year, we decided this a number of years ago, the county infrastructure is so far behind the eight ball, something like $80 million, just to maintain what we have now. And that's all our county roads. And of course, we use these every day. So we decided a number of years ago that we would add 2.5% every year simply to go to our roads and our infrastructure, which is crumbling. So this year, our budget came in at 2.23. Wow. So if you take away that 2.5%, we're below the zero mark. So I think we handled the responsible way of doing it this year. We had a whole new process. We had great public input and very, very happy the way it went. But it's going to take a while for all of us to dig out of this. It's not going to be a party.
No.
But I think we will. I really do.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll take a little bit of patience, but I think it'll also take some strategy. I mean, as the Chamber of Commerce, that's what we're all about, is, recommending a specific path to all levels of government. And let's face it, there's a difference in capacity between a federal government, a provincial government, and a municipal budget, as you are painfully aware of, right? Especially when you have to absorb so many different costs that have been downloaded over the last couple of decades. But at the same time, and you and I were in a recent meeting that you co-chaired with the mayor around regional economic development. So I think there are some fundamental principles that we can all agree on, and agree to start to extend the runway a little bit for business and allow people to build back better, as the slogan is developing. So what are your thoughts on how we're approaching that?
First of all, the Mayor Warden task force that we held, I think, was extremely beneficial. I don't think we went into it with any great hopes that we were going to push a button and all the problems were going to go away. But what it did do is give us the opportunity to speak to each other and to put some of the problems on the table. And I think we all came away from that knowing that, we've got to start supporting local business here, maybe more than we were doing. If we want to get out of this hole, we're all going to have to be a rung on the ladder so we can climb out. So that's one thing I think came out of it. I know there was a lot of controversy as well with some of the developers who were part of that task force who want to see a huge reduction in red tape that it takes to get a building permit and to get all the permits in place to do a development of any size. And that's one thing that come out of it. We had a big meeting that you were at there, Stu. And all that came about, I believe, during the Mayor Warden task force. And I think I opened my mouth when I suggested that the planning people, the ones who have to enforce these rules at the city and the county, get together with the developers and the builders, the ones who want less red tape, and just get to know each other and just explain, well, why do I have to fill this form out? And usually the answer is because the province or Canada tell us that we have to. So don't be yanking the chain of the local planning people. You better go a little higher up. Mm-hmm. So by getting together, I think a lot of those problems could be solved. And that's what we tried to do. I think maybe there were too many people in on the meeting. Trying to chair a meeting with 63 people was not exactly fun. But I think it's moving in the right direction. And I think they need to get together and try to solve this amongst themselves.
Yeah, well, and there's several sets of ears at that table, and I think the best thing that came out of that meeting with 63 people was an additional follow-up meeting with a lot fewer people. But I think there's an atmosphere, like let's seek to understand each other, because I think that as much as the developers need to understand the planning process, the planners also, I think, can understand, and there are things that can be done. I've talked about sort of creating a culture of yes, like go into every planning proposal or zone amendment or bylaw change, everything that you go in sort of with your eyes open and look for opportunities as opposed to looking for legislation. Right?
Don't look for reasons why you can't do it.
Yeah.
And that was the attitude that was going on for a long time. I'm not suggesting it is now, because I mean, face it, our planning people and the people who are charged with obeying the rules, they don't want to give a rough time to somebody.
Yeah.
They don't want to do that. Of course they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But there are so many rules and regulations out there to follow that, whoa, I think you better go and speak to Mr. Ford first.
Yeah. Well, trust me, we have his ear because, and I think in the end he would also like to see some things changed. But
talking about him, Stu, I'm not political, red, blue, green, black. I never have been, never will be. But I gotta give him credit for the way he's shown leadership in this as well. Yep. There's no right, wrong. Nobody's done this before. I thought he did one great job in trying to get us through this thing.
Yeah, totally agree with that, and he certainly received a lot of recognition for that. When it comes to the economy of the township, I mean, fortunately, this area is built on some pretty fundamental building blocks. Manufacturing, it ain't what it used to be, but it still is one of the four pillars of the local economy. Government itself, we've got government offices, we've got school boards, we've got hospitals, we've got post-secondary education. There's a lot of public money that is, fed into the local economy. And then there's agriculture and tourism, which is really where the county lives. And so I don't really see a whole lot changing there. What are the opportunities from your perspective on what we can do that might help with recovery when it comes to agriculture and tourism in particular?
Yeah, well, tourism certainly is something that concerns us all. That's what the county depends on. That's for sure. And PKED, I know, are doing a fantastic job with that. And we've got to leave that up to Rhonda and the great staff she has, because they indeed are doing the very best they can do, believe me.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the word agriculture, and I keep saying this time after time after time. Agriculture is what built Peterborough County, and it is still the mainstay of what Peterborough County is all about. Never, ever forget your roots. And
Yeah.
I think there are plenty of opportunities in the agricultural field, ideas that haven't even been thought of yet. But when we look at around the county, the men, the women, the children who are involved in agriculture, they are so passionate about it, just like their fathers and the grandfathers were.
Yeah.
And if we ever forget that spirit, or if we ever take that lightly, I think we're all going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Agriculture is what made us, and it's the earth that's going to get us through this. So our agricultural community is absolutely vital.
Right.
Yeah.
There's also things that are happening. I noticed that there's a federally inspected processing plant that just got approved in Toronto, where, you know, that was essentially Quebec and Alberta was the only place that you could get anything done federally inspected unless you shipped it across the border to Pennsylvania. So, you know, there's opportunities for beef. We've got a cricket farmer, Norwood. You know, there's
I thought you'd chirp about that. Yeah.
there's all sorts of innovation, and you know, one of the mantras is added value, right? Take what we're already doing and bring some of that processing back home so that we can actually improve the value of what we're doing, as opposed to shipping it somewhere else and then buying the product back, you know, whether that's chicken or beef or any of the commodities, right? We've given a lot of that stuff away, and I think that for me, there's an opportunity there.
Very much an opportunity, and I think there's people throughout the county who are looking in that very direction to start that type of initiative. So we've got to support them to the best of our ability. That's our future still. It was our past as well. So hold on to it.
Totally agree. Some specific issues. Housing is definitely a hot topic these days. It certainly has been for a long time, but I think the magnifying glass is on it now. So where are you as far as the county's involvement in housing, and you know, what's the lens that you look through?
Well, you called it a hot topic. I need my oven mitts on to try to deal with this one. And to be really frank, and to be really honest, we are very, very disappointed with the city, who, with our agreement, they look after the housing portfolio. We look after EMS and all the paramedics. Fine, that's fine. But the social housing end of things, the county pay, and people don't realize this, the county pay 55% of that bill. 55% of the bill. Now, the city look after it, of course. But when major changes come up, which they have recently, of course, with a new way of doing things, we would at least expect from our partners, the city, that we would be informed about these new ideas, what is being suggested, not read about it in the media. So that's a real concern to us. And I can guarantee you 100%, if we had a major situation going on with our EMS and our paramedics, some major change we wanted to make, I can guarantee you we would be talking to the city and letting them know, because they're a partner. They pay a lot of the bill. So that's why we're upset. It's a very technical issue, and I'm certainly not the one to be talking about the inner workings of this whole housing portfolio. But whatever they do affects the county. We have affordable housing going on in Havelock and Lakefield and Norwood, and some city people say, "Oh, that doesn't affect you." Well, it does. It does affect us, no matter how you slice it. So, to be really blunt, we deserve to have a little more respect than just going ahead with something like that and not even telling us about it.
Right.
End of story. I'll take my oven mitts off.
Have you got a position on what needs to happen? You know, they're talking about a complete restructuring of Peterborough Housing Corporation, for example, which I know are active in the county. I guess you really haven't been given an opportunity to take a position on it,
No,
right?
we haven't.
So
Not at all.
yeah.
We are right now looking into the financial impact this is having on the county, and it's in many areas that they've never even thought of. And it just goes on and on and on. But that's why you discuss things,
Yeah.
and work together. There's a saying that perhaps you've never heard: "We're all in this together."
Oh yeah, I have
It's
a
not.
pen.
It's not. We're all in this together whenever we feel like it. That's the whole point. So we were a little upset with that, and the mayor is certainly going to know that we're a little upset with that.
Yeah.
And I would hope that this will stop moving forward. The county and the city are joined at the hip, whether you like it or not.
Right.
And we've got to start talking to each other. This is silly. It's like dealing with a high school crowd or something who don't trust you. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So, and joint services, I mean, there's a lot that you guys do together as well. So it's not like the precedent or the communication channels aren't already there. I was looking at your agenda from last week's meeting. I was really surprised. It's 375 pages long. I know you don't need me to tell you that. The agenda is 9 pages long.
I know.
And I was looking at the issues, and ironically, housing isn't on it. Peterborough and the Kawarthas economic development, the draft budget, infrastructure report, the paramedics report, the waste management report, finance report, the staff reports. It's a big operation. I don't even know if that's a question, but it's a big operation.
People don't realize what the county is all about. And I find that virtually every day of the week. People just think, oh, well, we're part of the city, or, oh, well, county, oh, well. They don't realize the system of government that we have here. Not everyone, but many people don't. It's a 2-tier system. So the county isn't like the city. The county has 8 municipalities, and they have their own little jobs to do, and we respect those little jobs that they do, and the county has their own little jobs that we do. And it all meshes together, and we work together with 8 townships. So it's not like the city. They're a 1-tier government system, and what they say goes, and we have many more steps to follow. And our system has been around for many, many, many years, long before anyone heard of the city of Peterborough, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I know the county seat was in Warsaw. I'm sure you know that.
Well, at one time, my seat is still in Warsaw. I'm sitting there.
Yeah. I knew that was an opening that you just couldn't resist.
Exactly. If you can't smile, what can you do, Stu?
True enough. Within that was a question around. No, I've lost my train of thought. It was something to do with the staff reports, but I'll just move on. I just want to kick it up a notch to the province and kind of the relationship with the province. We've talked a little bit about promoting regional collaboration. We meaning the Chamber of Commerce network, starting with the Ontario Chamber, but we had a significant input into this report called The Great Mosaic, and it was talking about reviving Ontario's regional economies, and they came up with 17 specific recommendations. Regional collaboration was certainly part of it. And I think that you can see, we've talked a bit about regional economic development, but I mean, even the regional tourism associations, I think, are a reflection of the move to more sort of a more regional approach. But when it comes to the actual structure of local government, you and I are old enough to remember amalgamation. Harry Kitchen, Doug Armstrong came up with a report that recommended the amalgamation of, I think it was 18 townships at the time, down to 9. City of Kawartha Lakes was Lindsay and numerous townships, and they went a different direction, amalgamating into one government entity. Do you ever sort of reflect on that? Do you think we did it right when it comes to how we responded to that report?
Yeah, I certainly remember all that kerfuffle at the time. That was quite a thing to live through. And indeed, I do think we did it right. Losing the identity of rural municipalities is maybe easy to do on paper, but it's not easy in other ways. I mean, people have fought and died and worked the fields in their communities for years, and they identify with it. It's part of our past, and never forget your past. So I think Peterborough County did that exactly right. We eliminated half the municipalities, and really made it work. And you know, when you talk about amalgamation, it's more than just physically doing it. I think we have a great system going right now at the county by amalgamating ideas. And by that, I mean, we are members of the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus. And we've been the leaders in forming that group to start with, as a matter of fact. I had the honor of chairing that caucus 1 year, and I think I vice chaired it a couple of years. But that consists of 13 counties in all of Eastern Ontario, right from Kawartha Lakes right to the Quebec border. And we meet regularly. We have common denominator issues that we all fight for. And we've had tremendous success. We get a great deal of respect from the provincial government and the federal government on this. And we have certainly shown that we can share ideas, and we represent like 500,000 people. And they listen to us when we say something. Mm-hmm. And our big thing right now, of course, is broadband.
Yeah.
And that's how we're fighting for that. I have the honor of chairing the Eastern Ontario Regional Network, which is an arm of the EOWC. And our main claim to fame is getting high-speed internet for all of Eastern Ontario. And we're fighting to increase that. We had a project 10 years ago that built a highway across Eastern Ontario to allow us to tap into it. That's when most people had dial-up. We are now starting our cell gap, filling our cell gap problems in Eastern Ontario. That's going on now. Mm-hmm. And we're also fighting for our 1 gig project. And that's to put fiber to every house, 95% of the houses in Eastern Ontario, because we know how important that is.
Wow.
So I'm straying a little bit from your question, maybe, but I think it's a good example of how municipalities can work together.
Yeah.
And we've really proven that.
No, I think that's actually a really good answer to the question, because working together, it's not like amalgamating the city of Kawartha Lakes eliminated Bobcaygeon and Fenelon Falls. They're still there. They still have small town issues.
Exactly.
They're just part of a different governance structure. I think we could point out examples of where it hasn't worked particularly well, but that's for another day. Sort of to wrap it up, I'm just looking at some of the things that we're going to need to get right from the provincial standpoint. There's major issues around places to grow legislation, energy policy, where you're going to fit. They're talking something like 30 million people within the next 25 years that will be living in Ontario. So, more than doubling our population. Where are they going to live? Where are they going to work? And so just sort of some broad stroke observations about what the next 20 years looks like for Peterborough County.
Yeah, boy, if you could paint the picture. I mean, the 407, the potential via rail.
Yep.
It's starting now. The exodus is moving up this way. I mean, there's no denying it.
Yep.
And people want development. Oh boy, let's build more subdivisions, and oh boy, here's another field that we could take out of the agricultural stream. But I say more often than not, be careful what you ask for. We have an environment that you live in, that I live in, and we live there because it is very nice. It's beautiful. So be careful what you ask for. But there's no question about it. The hordes of people are coming to our area. I see it right now. I live in the village of Warsaw, where I've been for 45 years. I know that's hard to believe when I'm only 30.
You look so young.
Yes, thank you. But I see people walking around the village right now. I have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
and they're outnumbering the people I used to know. So
Right.
this is going on as we speak everywhere. You look around Millbrook at the development that's going on there, Norwood, Lakefield, and it's only just beginning. So
Yeah.
it is coming.
Well, a good summary, and from my perspective, it's going to take good policy, federally, provincially, and municipally.
Absolutely.
And I know you've been involved in creating policy at the municipal level for a long time, and I completely respect you and what you do. And I want to thank you for taking the time today.
Can I get one more plug in?
Of course, you can.
Something that I should have mentioned, and it's a group of people that we have a huge amount of respect for, and they've shown their true colors during the pandemic, and that is our paramedics. Chief Randy Mello and all the guys and gals who are paramedics, they've been doing the testing at the various places around. They've been doing at-home paramedicine for elderly people who can't get out. They've been putting themselves in danger's way. Even with the lack of protective equipment like they should have, they need a collective pat in the back.
Yep,
I just
totally
want to
agree.
shout out. When you see a paramedic, give a thumbs up, because
That's
we
right.
appreciate everything they do.
Yeah, don't go up and hug them.
No.
Just give them a thumbs up.
And it'll be a real shot in the arm.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, as somebody who's married to a nurse who works in long-term care, I think you and I are both pretty familiar with our frontline workers. It's been a real test for them, that's for sure. So well said.
Well, Stu, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure being on the same screen as you. We're kind of used to being face to face, but I guess that's not going to happen for a while.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
And that is the Think Tank. Thanks for tuning in.
Our Think Tank episode is brought to you by Merit Precision Molding, Microwage Peterborough Whitby, Canopy Support Services, and TD. The 2021 Power Hour, podcast, videocast, signature event. Details at peterboroughchamber.ca.